Good morning, world. It's your old pal Andrew again, reading from my book, Andrew and the Magic Giveashitometer, Growing Up with ADHD, available from Amazon on paperback or as a Kindle download. And you can get that free if you've got Kindle Unlimited as well. So, all good, right? Today, I'm going to be reading to you about attention deficits. Now, firstly, not everybody with ADHD is an attention deficit. Simple, right? Wrong. Some people with ADHD have a fantastic attention span, but often only when they are interacting about something they are interested in. I call this the Giveashitometer. Fun fact, I was planning to call this book the Giveashitometer, but I bottled it, or did I? You'll have to check the cover. For others, it may be that they are attention seekers or attention needers, subtle differences. And a lot of ADHD people have no problem at all with any attention issues. They are usually called hyperactive impulsive ADHD. Let's talk about my attention. Listening to people is difficult for me, but I've worked on this skill a lot. Ever since mother number 2, I will explain later, who from here on will be called Granny Sarah, told me that I needed to learn to listen more. You need to listen more, Andrew, she said. I was around 18 at the time, and for whatever reason, that short statement felt and still feels like a pivotal moment to me. I really took that one on board, but it wasn't easy. Even now, it's a struggle, but I can do it. My default setting is to talk. Imagine a computer printer. A computer printer is designed to put ink on paper. Asking me to listen can be like asking a computer printer to erase words from paper. I'm just not built for that. Nonetheless, I have worked on that skill for the last 30 years, and I'm getting better at listening. Sometimes I find it uncomfortable, sometimes I even find it mind-numbingly unbearable. But I can do it, or at least look like I am. I brought this up recently with Granny Sarah, and she looked at me like I was crazy and replied, "But Andrew, you are a wonderful listener. Looks like I must have done a good job." By the way, this kind of reprogramming of brain function is called neuroplasticity, the process of changing what your brain does. I once asked a colleague in higher education how many conferences appearances she would expect from the academics she line managed to present in a year. Minimum of 2, she said, but I would expect 3. I looked down at my CV. I'd got 43 over a period of 2 years. All good, right? I speak at a lot of conferences. Speaking is my thing. Now, speaking at conferences is something that comes very naturally to me. I often say to people, how would you feel about standing up in front of 500 to 1,000 people you don't know and delivering a paper? Most people at this point usually express dread and foreboding. For me, I thrive on it. I am ADHD, and as such, like a lot of other people with ADHD, I'm a verbal communicator. But verbal communication is not always the right format for any given situation. But at a conference, as a speaker, it is. This is the place where I can feel normal. This is the place where hearing me speaking to them is what they've paid their ticket for. Listening at conferences, however, that's hard. Sometimes I think that if it wasn't for Twitter and other social medias, I wouldn't be able to get through them. My strategy? Sit and tweet. Something to do with my hands. Generally, at conferences, however, I avoid the other speakers and spend my time talking to the various stall holders, where I collect pens, notepads, and various other trinkets. Samples and freebies for my kids. I find that much easier than sitting and listening. It's all about having a strategy. Having said that, is it me or is it them? In general, if I'm at a conference, it's an event built around a subject that interests me. So in theory, I should be able to listen. Remember the Giveashitometer? But most of the time, I can't. This is usually because their presenting skills are weak. So it's not enough to know your subject. And it's not even enough to have amazing, new, groundbreaking ideas. You have to make it interesting. And so many speakers don't. Having said that, there are some speakers that could have me absolutely transfixed, and I could listen to them all night and day because their delivery is so captivating and passionate. Check out Ros Blackburn talking about her autism, Colin Foley from the ADHD Foundation, and my pal Paul Hughes talking about, well, just about anything that comes into his mind. So what does this tell us? Easy. It's not me, it's them. So what are the knock-on effects of this to education? If you're a teacher, make it interesting. If you don't or can't make it interesting, you will never engage your ADHD learners and probably exclude and alienate lots of other learners too. In my role as a classroom observer, I can easily be in a group of 8-year-olds and the teacher will have me absolutely captivated, so much so that I'm bursting to put my hand up and answer the questions. Sadly, of course, the opposite is often true. I'm sure you've all been there. Let's face it, it's not just people with ADHD who would have been bored out of their wits at conferences. Come on, be honest. And my goodness, I've sat through some boring lessons in schools. Thanks for listening to me. A domani.